Русский. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Swami, Jagannatha Swami, Jagannatha Swami, Jaya Jagannatha Swami, Jaya Jagannatha Swami, Jagannatha Swami, Jagannatha Swami, Jaya Jagannatha. Nitai Gaura Hari Go, Hari Go, Hari Go, Nitai Gaura Hari Go, Nitai Gaura Hari Go, Hari Go, Hari Go, Nitai Gaura Hari Go, Nitai Gaura Hari Go, Hari Go, Hari Go, Nitai Gaura Hari Go, Nitai Gaura Hari Go, Hari Go, Hari Go, Nitai Gaura Hari Go. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Go. Jaya Vishnupada, Namaste Rajacharya, Suttara Shata Shishima, His Divine Grace, Lace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande, Hari Go. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Shri. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasatim vyasam tato jayam udiraye. Nashtaprayeshu padreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Bhagavati uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naishtiki. Hare Krishna. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, Text 7. Prihat palam manovidya.
Prihat palam manovidya.
Brihat palam manovidya.
Prihat palam manovidya.
Ubhayendriya nayakam.
Ubhayendriya nayakam.
Ubhayendriya nayakam.
Ubhayendriya nayakam.
Panchala panchavishaya.
Panchala panchavishaya.
Panchala panchavishaya.
Panchala panchavishaya.
Yanmadhe navakham puram.
Yanmadhe navakham puram.
Yanmadhe navakham puram.
Yanmadhe navakham puram.
Prihapalang manovidya.
Prihatpalam manovidya.
Ubhayendriya nayakam.
Ubhayendriya nayakam.
Panchala panchavishaya.
Panchala panchavishaya.
Yanmadhe navakham puram.
Yanmadhe navakham puram.
Please chant.
Prihatpalam manovidyat.
Prihatpalang manovidyat.
Ubhayendriya nayakam.
Ubhayendriya nayakam.
Panchala panchavishaya.
Panchala panchavishaya.
Yanmadhe navakham puram.
Yanmadhe navakham puram.
Brihatpalam manovidyat.
Brihatpalang manovidyat.
Ubhayendriya nayakam.
Ubhayendriya nayakam.
Panchala panchavishaya.
Panchala panchavishaya.
Yanmadhe navakham puram.
Yanmadhe navakham puram. Brihatpalam.
Prihatpalam.
Very powerful.
Very powerful.
Manaha.
Manaha.
The mind.
The mind.
Vidya.
Vidyat.
One should know.
One should know.
Ubhaya indriya.
Ubhaya indriya.
Of both groups of senses.
Of both groups of senses.
Nayakam.
Nayakam.
The leader.
The leader.
Panchala.
Panchala.
The kingdom named Panchala.
The kingdom named Panchala.
Pancha.
Pancha.
5.
5.
Vishaya.
Vishayaha.
Sense objects.
Sense objects.
Yat.
Yat.
Of which.
Which
Madhye.
Madhye.
In the midst.
in the midst.
Navakam.
Navakam.
Having 9 apertures.
Having 9 virtues.
Puram.
Puram.
The city.
The city.
I don't know what this word means. Aperture. Aperture is an opening, hole or gap. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The 11th attendant, who is the commander of the others, is known as the mind. He is the leader of the senses both in the acquisition of knowledge and in the performance of work. The Panchala kingdom is that atmosphere in which the 5 sense objects are enjoyed. Within that Panchala kingdom is the city of the body, which has 9 gates. Purport. The mind is the center of all activities and is described here as Brihat Bala, very powerful. To get out of the clutches of Maya, material existence, one has to control his mind. According to training, the mind is the friend and the enemy of the living entity. If one gets a good manager, his estate is very nicely managed. But if the manager is a thief, his estate is spoiled. Similarly, in his material conditional existence, the living entity gives power of attorney to his mind. As such, he is liable to be misdirected by his mind into enjoying sense objects. Srila Ambarish Maharaj therefore first engaged his mind upon the lotus feet of the Lord. Savai Mana Krishna Padaraya Padara Vindayo. When the mind is engaged in meditation on the lotus feet of the Lord, the senses are controlled. This system of control is called yama, and this means subduing the senses. One who can subdue the senses is called a Goswami, but one who cannot control the mind is called Godas. The mind directs the activities of the senses, which are expressed through different outlets, as described in the next verse. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sakrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanami. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shuddhavadi Pasvatadi Shatarini. Prihat Palang Mano Vidya Ubhayendriya Nayakam Panchala Panchavishaya Yanmadhye Navakam Puram. The 11th attendant, who is the command of the others, is known as the mind. He is the leader of the senses both in the acquisition of knowledge and in the performance of work. The Panchala kingdom is that atmosphere in which the 5 sense objects are enjoyed. Within that Panchala kingdom is the city of the body, which has 9 gates. Hare Krishna. So, thank you for coming, Srimad Bhagavatam class. This very relevant topic discussed here, it's about the mind. And Prabhupada gives a nice purport, giving a nice insight how the mind is so crucial for the living entity's destination. For all living entities, for the material conditioned living entities as well as the spiritually liberated living entities, the mind is the determined factor of the living entity's destination. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is an example given in the 7th canto where the mind, or let's say the whole human body, is compared to it's also in the Bhagavad Gita as an image, picture. How is the human body compared to chariot. Yeah? Remember that example? That's in the 7th canto. Transcendentalists who are advanced in knowledge compare the body, which is made by the order of the Supreme Personality of God, to a chariot. The senses are like the horses. The mind, the master of the senses, is like the reins. The reins means the strings by which we gear the horses. The objects of the senses are the destinations. So clear now you have the horses, the senses, they want to go to a certain destination. They want to go to the sense objects. Intelligence is the chariot driver. So the intelligence is the one who's holding the reins. And consciousness which spreads throughout the body is the cause of bondage in this material world. Here it's not mentioned, but there is also a description that there is a passenger on the chariot. Who is that?
The soul.
Yeah, sometimes the soul, but in another example also, like Krishna. Yeah, he's actually driving the chariot. The super soul is also on the chariot, together with the soul. So this example is very, very important for us to understand in what kind of situation we are in. We have senses, we have a mind, we have an intelligence, and we, as a spirit soul, we are somehow or other in this chariot, and we drive around in the world, in the material existence. Since time immemorial, we actually don't know how long we are driving around. We don't know where we have been. We don't really know what we have experienced so far. We know what we've experienced and where we have been with this chariot in this life, but we don't know where we have been before. And Prabhupada, he makes a very nice statement that in the material conditional existence, the living entity gives power of attorney to his mind. Meaning the living entity gives the full power over its existence to the mind. Or in other words, the soul is not independently taking decisions anymore, but is depending on the decisions of the mind. And how does the mind take decisions if it's not controlled by the soul? You can take this example to understand how it works. If the reins are not controlled by something, by what are the reins controlled?
By the horses.
By the horses. The horses just go in a certain direction and the reins follow. Whereas spiritual life means you take the reins and you direct your senses in a certain direction. In this purport, Srila Prabhupada explains very nicely. I will read a bit to understand about that example. For a bewildered person in the materialistic way of life, the body, the mind, and the senses which are engaged in sense gratification are the cause of bondage to repeated birth and death, old age and disease. But for one who is advanced in spiritual knowledge, the same body, senses, and mind are the cause of liberation. So the chariot is a medium by which you can travel. Like a car. With the car you can travel, you can go to different places. You can go to the supermarket, you can go to the temple, you can go to vacation, you can go to the school, you can go to work, you can go to so many places with this car. But it's your decision where you're going to take the car, where you're going to go. And similarly, this body, it's like a vehicle which can take us anywhere we like. That's actually described in the Vedic scriptures. We, especially as a human being, we are in a situation where we can more or less decide where we want to go. Do I want to go up? Do I want to go down? Do I want to go right? Do I want to go left? Do I want to go forward? Do I want to go backward? So we have that kind of freedom in that sense, that we decide, okay, I want to go in this or that direction. And therefore, this body can reach, on one hand, the highest destination, and it can at the same time bring you to the lowest destination. Nobody wants to go to the lowest destination. No, if I go out and ask some people, do you want to go to a place where you're gonna suffer from pain and uncomfortable circumstances without any friends and without any relatives, without any support? No, nobody will say yes. But the problem is, if you're driving with your car without knowing that you're actually going in a certain direction, you might end up in that place. So that's the very unfortunate state of affairs in today's world, that people, they drive around with their chariot not knowing in what direction they're actually going. And if they drive the chariot in a wrong way, they might end up in a very, very bad situation in the future. On the other hand, if we get to know that, oh, I got this wonderful human form of body, which is a wonderful opportunity, and there is actually a chance to reach a destination which is where I belong to and where I can enjoy and where I will be happy and peaceful eternally. That is our good fortune. So I continue reading. The soul is the occupant of the chariot of the body, of which the driver is the intelligence. The mind is the determination to reach the destination. The senses are the horses, and the sense objects are also included in that activity. Thus one can reach the destination, Vishnu, who is Paramam Padam, the supreme goal of life. So that's the highest destination. In conditioned life, the consciousness in the body is the cause of bondage. But the same consciousness, when transformed into Krishna consciousness, becomes cause for one's returning home back to Godhead. The human body therefore may be used in two ways: for going to the darkest regions of ignorance, or for going forward back home, back to Godhead. To go back to Godhead, the path is Mahat Seva, to accept the self-realized spiritual master. Mahat Sevam Varam Ahur Vimukte. For liberation, one should accept the direction of authorized devotees who can actually endow one with perfect knowledge. On the other hand, Tamod Varam Yoshitang Sangi Sangam. If one wants to go to the darkest regions of material existence, one may continue to associate with persons who are attached to women. Yoshitang Sangi Sangam. The word Yoshit means woman. Persons who are too materialistic, attached to women. So here Prabhupada describes that basically, as a spirit soul, we, depending on with whom we associate in this life, that's how our mind will be directed. And Prabhupada speaks about two opposites, two people. One is the Mahat, or the devotee, and the other is the Yoshi, means the woman. Or in other words, the opposite sex. So for man it's the woman, and for woman is the man. So if one becomes attached to the opposite sex, then one will go down. If one becomes attached to the spiritual master, to the devotee, one go up. As simple as this. And why? Because the spiritual master, the devotee, is the representative of the super soul, who is Krishna. So by following the spiritual master, one actually directs oneself to God. The spiritual master is non-different from Krishna. And what is the opposite sex? What is a woman? What is a man? It is the representation of our sense objects. The opposite sex is the embodiment of sense objects. Yeah, nice form, nice sound, nice smell, nice touch. Right? It's all included in one form, and that's the opposite. On one hand, we can direct our soul towards God, and which is the source of all happiness, or we direct our consciousness to the sense objects, which is actually the source of misery. That this kind of material happiness is the source of all misery. It will give us immense suffering. So that's why we take guidance from a devotee, from a spiritual master. And he will actually teach us how to control the mind. Because he's a Goswami, he has managed to control the mind. He can teach others how to control the mind too. He's expert. What does it say in act of instruction? Vaja vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam, udarupasta vegam, eta vegam, etadira. Vaja vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam, udarupasta vegam, etam vegam, yo vishnaheta sarv. How's the last line? So because that's the qualification of a spiritual master, he's controlling fully his mind and senses, and that's why he can actually guide others. It's not possible for a conditioned living entity who's under the control of the mind and senses to guide somebody else. It's not possible. It has to be a liberated person. Only that liberated person can show us how to control the mind. And so Srila Prabhupada, he's that spiritual master who came to teach us how to control the mind. And as followers of Srila Prabhupada, and that point I want to emphasize today, our main and only duty is to take guidance from Srila Prabhupada and learn how to control the mind from him. The spiritual master gives the way how to control the mind, and he's like a physician. He's like a doctor who gives the medicine in order to cure the patient, the conditioned soul. The patient cannot concoct the cure him or herself. It's not possible. And this is a thing which we have to really, really deeply understand, that the more we can embrace the instructions of the spiritual master, the more advancement we will make. And it's not by our own concoction. So Srila Prabhupada has given many, many instructions, but I think we can have a brief discussion about instructions which he gave, which are essential for all of his disciples. There was a quote the other day, where Srila Prabhupada said something to the extent like, "You're asking me who is my disciple?" And Srila Prabhupada says, "Let him first follow the discipline, and then we can speak about if he's my disciple or not. So a follower of Srila Prabhupada is a disciple. It's not some sentimental person who just chants Jai Prabhupada, and then on the other hand is doing all kinds of nonsense. The true follower of Srila Prabhupada is following the discipline laid out by him. That's what will please Srila Prabhupada. So what is the discipline which Srila Prabhupada gave? You know, if we think about, let's say, the 10 most important instructions Srila Prabhupada gave, what's the first most important instruction Srila Prabhupada gave?
Chant.
To chant 16 rounds at least in a day. Right? That is the most important instruction Srila Prabhupada gave. So much so that he made it a vow, he took a vow of his disciples at initiation. So a true follower should chant 16 rounds. What else did Srila Prabhupada say what a disciple should do? Follow the 4 radiant principles. Yeah, so Prabhupada not only gave positive instructions but also negative. Some things you should not do. Vitali, you have some idea what kind of instruction Srila Prabhupada gave which is essential?
Sankirtan.
Читать книги. Read books.
Read books.
This is fundamental.
Fundamental. And why does Srila Prabhupada say, does he concoct himself? No. Nityam Bhagavata Seva, it's actually the Bhagavatam itself says we should study daily. Srila Prabhupada, we should hear. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smarnam. What else?
Harinams. Sankirtan.
Harinam, Sankirtan, chanting in the association of devotees. What else, Anna? You have an idea what Srila Prabhupada instructed?
Worshipping the deity.
Worshipping the deities.
Going to holy town.
Going to the holy town.
Take prasad.
Take prasad. Yeah,
Oh.
this is one which is essential. Prabhupada is saying don't eat meat and all these things. And that's the negative instruction. The positive is that one should accept Krishna Prasad. What else?
В принципе, в обществе преданных. Общаться с преданными.
To be in association with devotees and open their hearts to devotees.
To associate with devotees and have loving exchange, yes. What about? Huh? Make columns?
Переведи, что ты сказала.
Вопрос в том, что еще Шрила Прабхупада
Это
указывает.
я поняла. А что ты ответила?
Находиться в обществе.
Что я ответила? Она сказала, что я сказала.
Повтори.
Перевела.
Все поняла. Understand.
One instruction Srila Prabhupada gave, which is very difficult for all of us to follow, but which is actually essential, is to get up for Mangalarati. Srila Prabhupada never made a compromise about this point. He said if you're sick, you take rest, but otherwise you should get up for Mangalarati. And I was reflecting in this month of Kartik, or before Kartik actually, I was thinking, what kind of vow, should we take? And I was listening from some devotee that was speaking about how do we take proper vows. And the point came out that we should direct our vows in such a way to please Srila Prabhupada, to follow his instructions. Or in other words, what he said is, there is not so much of a benefit. There is benefit, but there is little benefit if we take a vow which is based on our own concoction, and at the same time we neglect some other instructions of Srila Prabhupada. So, as devotees living in the temple, we try to make an experiment of surrender to the spiritual master Krishna. And we should try to follow the instructions as much as we can. And we should use our intelligence, because that's the point we have to understand when it comes to controlling the mind. The mind is controlled by the driver. The reins are controlled by the driver. So, for a spiritual person, that person has to have a strong intelligence to take the reins and direct the senses in a certain direction, direct the senses towards Krishna. And that's why we should meditate about Srila Prabhupada's instructions, and we should fine-tune our intelligence in such a way that we follow his instructions strictly and we understand the essence of his desire. Because we can do so many things, but if we fail to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, we will not please him entirely. Yasya prasada bhagavad prasada, yasya prasadam nagati kutopi. So, and the temple is a place where we learn to do that. And especially this point of getting up in the morning, going to the program, doing the full morning program, this is actually the best medicine to control our mind. Because what happens if we set our alarm in the morning, then we hear two voices in our head, right? Everybody of us hears two voices, basically all the time. What does one voice say?
Get up.
And what's that? From where does that voice come?
I think that's the soul itself.
The intelligence, no? The intelligence. I would say it's the intelligence, because why does the voice say get up? You remember now that, oh actually, it's good for me, I'm supposed to. What's the other voice saying?
The mind.
And what is it saying?
Don't get up.
It's so nice under this warm, and it's winter, and then that's the best time. Let's stay on this warm blanket. And so that's the first thought, that the voice which will come from the mind, which will say that. And then what will happen if the mind is stronger?
You will stay in the bed.
Yeah. And you know what happens if you are looking a little bit carefully internally? The mind will take the intelligence as a complete thing. What's a complete thing in English? You know that word? Complete thing. You know that word? And complete thing.
I know it, but I don't know the English.
Okay. Let me just look that up, because complete English. Accomplice. Accomplice means I want to make a crime, so in order to achieve my goal, I take somebody else to help me. Let's say I want to rob a bank, so I take somebody along with me who helps me to break in. This then completes it. So the mind will take the intelligence as it will turn to the intelligence, and the intelligence will come up with some excuses. Oh, anyway, I went to bed late yesterday. I'm having some, physical problems. I think it will be better if I sleep longer, because then I will be more rested and more happy and peaceful. Somebody else is snoring in the room and I couldn't sleep. I felt cold in the night and I didn't get a good rest, so I deserve to sleep a little longer. So many things then happen, and the mind becomes supported by the weak intelligence and decides, let me just, okay. And that's the fight we are fighting every day, and we have to be conscious about it. And the first step is to understand, like Prabhupada said here, that the conditioned living entity gives the power of attorney to his mind. And now we have to understand that we have to take this power of attorney back. And that is a little bit painful, because that means that we have to, with ourselves, become strict. Even though we hear something within us, we have to learn to distinguish what is, who am I and what is my mind. And Bhaktisiddhanta even said we should beat our mind. In the morning and in the evening, we should beat our mind. That's how far he went. He was saying our mind, as long as our mind is our enemy, we have to use some violence. And that sounds cruel, but that's the way to freedom. Now we feel that if I don't listen to my mind, then it's kind of self-denial. It's even, I'm being violent to myself. But actually, to control the mind, that's the real compassion to ourselves. And so that's what we do. That's the process of sadhana bhakti. We try to control the mind by focusing our mind on Krishna. We chant, we hear about Krishna. We worship the deity. We take prasadam. And in this way, our mind becomes more and more absorbed in the process of devotional service. So much so that at some point, we don't have to force our mind anymore, but it will go naturally. And the example is given, like when you go up a mountain, as long as you go up, it's very tiring and exhausting, but once you're on the peak and you go down on the other side, it becomes much easier. You don't have to put so much effort anymore. And that's the point when we reach Nishta, when we are fixed in our devotional service. And that's a very high point actually. That means when we completely disidentify with our mind and body, we completely on the Brahmagutta platform. That's when Nishta comes and when it becomes easy. So let us be enthusiastic and patient to continue controlling our mind, to direct our mind towards Krishna. And even if we fail to do so sometimes, we should. That's why Rupa Goswami said, Utsaha nishchayata yat. We should be enthusiastic and patient at the same time. And we should have faith. So this combination is a little bit unusual because enthusiasm usually wants something quick, and when one is patient, usually there's not much enthusiasm, but we have to bring those two together. We have to be at the same time patient and enthusiastic. So, thank you very much for your attention. That I hope I could inspire you in this simple but sublime process which Srila Prabhupada has given us of following this program, the morning program, and take full advantage of this arrangement. And one last thing is that Srila Prabhupada, he has established a program, so if we develop faith in Srila Prabhupada, even though we might have a conditioning, this faith in Srila Prabhupada, he will give us the strength to follow. It's him who will give us the strength to follow his instructions. But we have to develop the earnest desire to do so. And that happens when we listen. When we listen from more advanced devotees, when we listen from the scriptures, when we listen from our Guru, then the desire will come that, hey, I also want to become a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. I also want to be somebody who pleases Srila Prabhupada. And if that desire is strong, everything else will follow automatically. Thank you very much. Any comments or questions? Yes.
Потому что полная программа, которую давал Шрила Прабхупада, он называл это как сэндвич бхакти.
Srila Prabhupada gave this program and he gave a name for it like Sandwich Bhakti.
Что у нас есть утренняя наша программа.
We have morning program.
Дневное время мы посвящаем тому, что мы занимаемся служением или работой.
We give for service.
И вечером мы должны приходить тоже Гаурарати и читать Бхагавад-гиту, либо о Прабхупаде.
And in the evening we should go to Gaurarati and read Bhagavad Gita or about Prabhupada.
Ну, Прабхупада Лиламрита.
Prabhupada Lilamrita.
И вот то, что ученики Прабхупады, они этому исследовали, и поэтому у них очень сильный духовный практика.
Disciples of Srila Prabhupada followed this, and that's why they have a very strong practice, and they continue whatever happens.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. It's a very relevant point in the sense that we can get up in the morning and do a very nice program and even do service, but then in the evening we do all kinds of nonsense, and then it's like you make a fire and then you pour water on it. So the point you're making, that the Prabhupada disciples are so powerful because they follow Srila Prabhupada's program, and they use this morning and evening times to feed the mind with Krishna consciousness, so that it grew more and more and more and more and more. Usually what we do is sometime in between the day we will just pour water on the fire. And nowadays it's so dangerous actually. And we are so unfortunate in one sense that we live in this time of smartphone. Because I don't know how many of you have Instagram or Facebook, but you could spend 1 hour on Instagram and you create so many samskaras in your mind that basically they destroy all of the good samskaras you have set during the morning time. It's actually a fact that as much devotional samskaras you put, that much you will progress. As much non-devotional samskaras you put in your mind, that's how much you go back and you get pulled down. And I even go that far, if somebody is serious, especially if somebody is serious and knows that he or she is not so advanced, he or she will delete Instagram and Facebook and not use it at all. Because the tendency is that if we have it on the phone, because we're not controlling our mind, then we will all time indulge in it. And what do we see when we go on Instagram? Sometimes, it happened that I took someone's phone and I opened it. It's so degrading. You just see naked women, half-naked men all the time. And it's completely the opposite of what we want to develop. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Наше утро начинается с вечера. Наша утренняя джапа зависит от того, что мы делали вечером. Что наша утренняя джапа и концентрация зависит от того, что мы впитали в себя вечером.
Our concentration depends from what we absorbed in the evening.
Поэтому Шрила Прабхупада рекомендовал перед сном пить молоко и читать Кришна-бху.
That's why Srila Prabhupada gave his disciples milk in the evening and asked to read Krishna.
Yes. Yes. So we should go to the evening program, and if we can't, then we should do at least some reading for ourselves. Reading chat. Yes.
сказали о двух путях, о духовном и привязанности к женщинам.
You talked about two ways, and one is spiritual, and another one is attachment to woman.
Но мы живем в социуме, и социум нам диктует свои правила.
But we live in society, and this society gives us some rules.
И они как якоря, как крючья держат тебя и диктуют свои правила, что ты должен делать, что ты обязан делать, какие ты предписания должен выполнять. И все это входит в противоречие с духовным путем. Что тогда, где есть выход?
And the society just says what to do and rules, and they are completely different from some spiritual way. So what to do in this situation?
Srila Rupa Goswami also mentions in the Nectar of Instruction that we should avoid association with materialistic people and we should associate with spiritual people. And if we are sincere and serious, then we will do that. We will give up the association of materialistic people who, as you said, they live according to other principles, they have another culture, and we will associate with those who have embraced the spiritual culture, spiritual principles. Thank you so much for your attention.
I may ask a question. I first ask and after translate. I heard that it's very important not to control and to tolerate, because we cannot control anything. We can just give opportunity to our spiritual master in Srila Prabhupada to give us tolerance, to tolerate this urge of speak and so on, this vachavegam and so on. So I just heard like two opinions, that it's possible just to tolerate, not possible to control. And you mentioned to control, so what do you think about this? Вопрос в том, что есть как бы мнение еще, что невозможно контролировать побуждение языка, желудка, гениталий и так далее, что можно просто терпеть, и нужно дать возможность Шри Прабхупаде и духовному учителю дать нам силу терпеть эти побуждения. То есть вопрос в том, что думает лектор по поводу того, контролировать или терпеть, или как это все происходит.
Но это не мой вопрос.
Это я задала вопрос.
Это твой.
Just on time to answer that question.
Подышишь, может, добавить.
No, she asked the question which you kindly answered. She was saying that we're speaking about the mind and that we should not, or we cannot control the mind, but we can tolerate.
It's very Srila Prabhupada explains that mind can be controlled. That's the secret, is that you engage the mind in the service of Krishna, reading, reading scriptures, chanting. If you keep the mind fully engaged, then you're controlling the mind. Just like that Prabhupada gave the example of the genie. Genie came, this genie, you know what is genie?
With the wonder lamp?
Yeah, lamp, and then it comes out and says, fulfills all your desires.
Yeah.
So Prabhupada uses example that this genie he came and said to the master, "Master, tell me what to do." And he's so much pestering the master now, because he has to be engaged. Once you let him out, you have to engage. So Prabhupada said, the best way to engage him is pick up one of those giant banyan tree with thousands and thousands, millions of leaves. They tell the genie, you go and clean all the leaves. So the genie is cleaning one leaf, another leaf, another. By the time he finishes cleaning all the leaves, new leaves have grown. So it keeps growing. So he's constantly engaged in cleaning the leaves. So similarly, our mind is like a genie. He wants to go here, go here, go here, go here, do this, do that. He's wandering all the time. So Prabhupada says, for devotee, the mind should be engaged fully in the service of Krishna 24/7. That is why he has created this whole program, which earlier someone mentioned about the sandwich, morning program, evening program. So we have a whole system. From the morning we wake up till the morning, in the evening we take rest. There's always different services we are engaged in. And if we engage, then mind is focused. If the mind is focused in the service of Krishna, either remembering, chanting, reading, then it is under control. Because the mind is always, agitated, and it wants something to do. So it will either do something Krishna conscious activity, or it will do something material activity. But generally it is very easy to be attracted to material activities, because from the many, many millions of lifetimes we have been conditioned that when we are enjoying the material world, we become happy. And everybody is trying to enjoy the material world, but they cannot be happy because we know there is no happiness in the material world. But it's an illusion. So we have to focus the mind constantly. And then, of course, one of the most important aspects for a devotee who is practicing Krishna Bhakti is not just reading and chanting and serving in different aspects, but good association. Because when you have good association of devotees, then they will encourage you also. But if I'm alone, and I'm sitting and saying Hare Krishna, Krishna, chanting, and then mind says, well, it's a nice day, let me go for a walk. So you go for a walk, and then you get attracted to here, you get attracted to here, and then you get deviated from the actual principle. But when you are in association with devotees, then they help us. So very, very simple is that we have to keep the mind engaged. Otherwise, the mind is like a genie. Okay? Hare Krishna. It was nice class.
Where are you listening from?
Upstairs. Because yesterday was a heavy day for me, and my legs were not working properly.
Yeah.
So I thought I would not come down.
Tomorrow you will come?
Yeah. I told them. Hare Krishna, I will class for no problem.
Hare Krishna, Aitona Satmani Vedana Swami Maharaj ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bom.
Запиши, пожалуйста. что заходите?
Я пошла.
А, на завтрак?
Да,
Сейчас завтрак.
завтра где будет?
Тут же будет.
Да.
Тут
Как обычно, на втором этаже.
Даже не дадите сказать. Вы вечно ждете. Ну, я хотела сказать сама спасибо. Зачем вы требуете? Ну, потому что неприятно, когда это естественно. Должно быть естественно. Дождитесь. Да.
границы.